All right, all right. Great day, family. Toinette here with Jam Family Travels. Waiting for my screen to clear up so you can see me a little bit better. But just the topic for today is who's cooking the turkey, right? So I know not everyone has a traditional Thanksgiving. And so with that being said, hmm, I'm hearing the echo. Hear myself talk. All right, let's see. We can get this together. There we go. Okay, I think I got it now. So, as I was saying, not everyone has a traditional turkey on the Thanksgiving day, but I think one thing to think about is the man made holiday called Thanksgiving is a season of, for me, is a season of thanksgiving, right? Being thankful for the things that you have, being grateful for the opportunities you've been presented, taking the time to just appreciate the ones that you love, showing the appreciation. So not only should you do that on Thanksgiving Day, but you should do that every day. You should show the ones that you love and care about that you love them, let them know that you care about them, and continue to give thanks for the opportunities that you have been blessed and presented with. So in my lifetime, I've been presented with quite a bit of opportunities to be grateful for and thankful for. And so I'm truly, I give honor to God because without him, we would not, my belief, we would not be able to make it as make it through the things that some of the things that we've gone through. And so I am forever grateful to him for the opportunity to wake up to the use and activity of my limbs, the ability to watch my children grow, the ability to be talking to you all right now, even with the technical difficulties. We're going to get that together one of these days. But I'm just grateful for the fact that I can share my story, right? Because, you really never know what people are going through uh, throughout their time and throughout their journey unless they tell you their story. And so there's been many times when, I was trying to figure out how was I going to put food on the table for my children with 2 degrees, right? Actually, technically three, with 2 master's degrees and 1 bachelor's degree, like trying to figure out what bill do I pay or what bill do I not pay so that I can ensure that the mortgage got paid, the children had clothes, that we had food to eat, the lights stayed on. And many people don't share that story with, you only see what people want to show you. So this is just my moment of just sharing a piece of my story because everyone has one. And so I think we ought to be mindful of the things that we say, mindful of the people that we surround ourselves around, and then just think about those that are less fortunate than us, right? Because you really never really know what's going on in someone's household or behind closed doors. So just pay attention to people, pay attention to the signs of people who may need help and just don't want to reach out and ask for help. And even if you feel like they don't need the help, you see their trash can at the driveway, just go grab their trash can. It's not going to hurt you. It's just simply being neighborly and helping somebody. Other things to kind of be thinking of and thankful for is if you still have your parents here, right? Many people don't have their parents, and the seasons of holidays are often times in which are seasons of sadness because it reminds them of the people that are no longer here with them and reminds them of the loss and grief that they have and that they still may be dealing with because everyone's grief may be different. And so whether their parent or loved one or friend of the family passed away yesterday or 10 years ago. They may be on a different path and a different journey than you. So don't be judgmental. So just see what you can do to help them. Other things to kind of think about is and be grateful for is if you have the use and activity of your limbs. Remember, I said that earlier, because there are people who do not have the use of their limbs, but they still have them. And so it's a constant reminder that whether they had the use and activity of them prior to and can reflect back on when they had the use of them and no longer can, and or if they've never had that particular limb, and so they don't really truly know what it is to have it, but to have had to adapt to their environment and what they were given. I truly believe that God gives us what we are supposed to have, and He takes away those things that we should not have. I also believe He gives us free will to make choices and decisions and what we want to do in life, and sometimes those decisions come with natural consequences. So just be mindful of the things that you're doing and the things that you're saying, because with any given moment, those things can be taken from you. So you want to appreciate those that you have, appreciate the things that you have, as well as being a blessing to someone else, because it's not just about you, it's about you helping other people. And I apologize, but this lighting is horrible. I'm trying to see if this camera was going to do right, but it does not seem to want to cooperate with me today. But it's okay though. The moral of the story is you should pay attention to the message and not the scene. The message is to give thanks daily, because there will come a time when we are all going to transition at some point. So there may become a time that it is your day to transition. And so what have you set up for your family, whether you have children or you're caring for loved ones, your parents or grandparents? When you get to the age of 30 plus, it kind of transitions, and your families and your family dynamics may change. And so those of you, excuse me, who may have to start being the caregiver for your parents, have you had that conversation with yourself? Have you had that conversation with your parents? Have you had that conversation with your spouse? Because that time will come. And how will you handle that situation? And if you make a decision to not have that person come to your home, what are the next steps? What is it that you're going to do to ensure the safety of your loved one? So these are some of the things that I begin to think about, because I'm getting to that age and so are my parents. And so we are starting to have those conversations as to what are we going to do when one of them or both of them are no longer able to care for themselves? What are our next steps? Other things to kind of think about and be grateful for, and the message itself behind this live today is, as we go into the season of Christmas, or the commercialized Christmas, right? Many of us believe that the season of Christmas is surrounding the birth of Christ. Some other people don't believe that. And whatever it is that you believe, remember that, again, with man made holidays, you want to not try to go above and beyond your means. Remember, I told you there were times when I didn't know if I was going to be able to put food on the table. So I'm very cognizant of what I'm doing now, because we could get to that point. Things in life happen, and never say what you won't ever, never do, because you do not know what situations you'll be faced with. So that's why you want to be prepared and plan. And so I had to make some adjustments. I never prepared for the fact that my husband and I would be separated at the time we were separated. I wasn't prepared for the fact of, I was going to have to work three jobs and literally be told by my son that I wasn't home enough. I wasn't prepared for um, some of the things that I have encountered. However, that lack of preparation had me to make some adjustments in my lifestyle, make some adjustments in the way that I operate, make some adjustments in the way that I do things for my family, because at all times my children come first. I don't think about self first. I think about what am I doing, and how is it going to impact them? So I shared that with you, and this is me being fully transparent and full disclosure at this point. I share that with you because somebody else may be in the same situation that I was in at that time. And you're trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet, because with the world the way it is now is different. And so you may have lost your job. You may have lost hours at work and you're trying to figure out, okay, God, what am I going to do? Or whomever you speak to or pray to or believe in. And you're trying to figure out what are the next steps? I want to just simply share with you that everything happens for a reason. We may not understand what that reason is at the moment, but when you reflect back on the experiences of your journey, you should have learned a lesson, and you will learn a lesson if you pay attention to the lessons that are being taught. You're going to use that test and turn it into a testimony to share with someone else, much like I'm doing today. You're going to use that opportunity that you were provided and given to help bless someone else's life. What you want to make sure that you're doing is that you are going to reach back. So when you've arrived and you've made it, and on your journey, reach back to see who you can help. Because at the end of the day, we are to build communities within communities. We are to help our brother and sister, whether they look like us, whether they're the same ethnicity, same race, same diversity, whatever they are. We are to help one another because we can't grow without everyone growing together. There's time, it's time out for the crabs in the bucket mentality. Right? One person's getting to the top and it's like, oh, let me pull you down because I'm trying to get to the top. And oh, no, let me pull you down because I'm trying to get to the top. We need to stop that because as we work together, team, right? Together, everyone achieves more. If you're working together, you all can accomplish the goals that you set out. But you first have to identify what that is. You have to identify what you want in life so that you know how to write down your goals to the steps to get to it. If you need help, reach out to a friend. I've given you a whole so many different scenarios, right? Because I'm just simply thinking about the things as they're coming to my mind and I'm sharing them with you. But I just want to tell you that as we go into 2021 and you prepare for that as best as you can, because again, we may transition prior to 2021 coming here. But what are you doing right now? If you have children, if you have loved ones that are dependent upon you, what are you doing right now to ensure that they have what they need? Is your family secure should you no longer be here? If they're not, you've got to do something different. Because as I realized the errors and the decisions that I was making prior to my third child being born, I realized that I have got to change some of the things that I'm doing because what I don't want to happen is I don't want my children to beg, borrow, or steal to have their needs met. So I'm saying that because what I'm doing now and the life changes that I've put in place will allow me to do just that. It will allow me to leave generational wealth for my children's children and their children. And I'm sharing that with you because you still have time. The only time that you no longer have it is when you're no longer alive. So while you're here, put every effort, put every strength that you have to leaving a legacy for your children. Whatever you have to do legally, right? You want to ensure that they have a foundation to stand upon. You don't want to leave them with debts. You don't want to leave them with bills. You want to leave them with generational wealth, whether it is financial, spiritual, cognitive. You want to leave them with a foundation that they can build upon. Oftentimes, we as people don't leave our generations, our children, with something that they can be lifted up with. We simply say, okay, I'm going to live for today because tomorrow is not promised. And while that is true, you have a responsibility to ensure your children's children inherit the riches of what God has promised to them. Our birthright is not so that we are having to constantly borrow from people. Our birthright is not that we are living in debt and in bondage. Our birthright is riches and glory. Now, I'm not saying to idolize money. I'm not saying to idolize anything. I'm simply saying that it is our birthright to leave an inheritance for our children's children, because one day we will be gone. And as we prepare to go into 2021, I know that some people have lost loved ones, and my condolences to you and your family. But as you prepare to go in 2021, you want to ensure that whatever you did in 2020 sets you up for your future in 2021, because you don't want to be trying to play catch up when 2021 gets here. You already need to think about what it is you want to accomplish for tomorrow, today. So that way, as you're preparing for your future, you're also setting up your family for success. Middle class people think about short-term goals. They think about how can they live for the next few months? How can they make it until the end of 2021? Millionaires think decades from now. So they're not just thinking about their children, they're not just thinking about themselves. If and again, if you don't have any children, you're setting up the community itself for success. But those of us who have children, millionaires begin to think about how can what I'm doing today impact the growth and success of my family 20 years from now. So if you don't have that mindset now, you have an opportunity to change that mindset. It starts with today. What do you need to do to change that? Do you need to invest in some books to invest in your personal and professional development? Do you need to find another opportunity that will afford you that? If the job that you're working now, and this is not quit your job day, I'm not saying that, but if the job that you're working now can never afford you the option to leave an inheritance and a legacy for your children, you need to start looking for something else. Don't quit your job if that's paying the bills, if that's covering your insurance and your children's insurance. What I'm simply saying is have a plan B that can supplement in the interim so that you can prepare yourself and your family for future gains. Again, it's not quit your job day. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that if you don't have a plan B in this day and time, you're behind the curve already. Because as we know, we've seen so many people lose their jobs during this pandemic, whether it be because of furloughs, whether it's because of downsizing, whether it was people just simply were fired, whether it was a business that went out of business. If that was your sole means of income, again, now is the time to figure out how can you work towards gaining additional income for 10 years from now, and how are you setting up your bank account so that way if something should happen and you lose another job, you're still able to be ahead and not trying to play catch up from behind. I'm sharing that information because in my 9 to 5 job, there were so many people that were impacted by COVID, to where we were processing so many bills to help people who simply could not pay their light bill, that could not pay their rent, and they were literally trying to play catch up for the things that they could not afford to pay because of loss of wages, because of loss of hours, from either being fired or furloughed. And so, had they had a plan B, they potentially could have still been set up and been easier for them. So, I think I've shared all that I'm going to share for today. I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving. I want to say that I'm continuing to pray for you, even though I don't know you, that whatever God has planned for you, that you will achieve and obtain and attain, that you will find what you're looking for in whatever opportunity it is that is being presented to you. Oftentimes we pray for so many things, and God is like, I sent it to you, but you didn't take heed to it and didn't accept it because it didn't come in the package that you thought it should have come in. And so you pray about that thing again, and he's like, okay, I'm giving it to you. Here it is. And you were like, but God, that's not what I asked you for. And God is like, but I gave you what you needed, and you chose not to take what you needed. So as a result of that, you pray again. And he's like, okay, here it is, child. I'm giving it to you. So don't be poor minded. Poor minded means passing over opportunities repeatedly. Don't pass over opportunities repeatedly that just because it didn't come in the package that you thought it was going to come in, it wasn't tied in the bow that you thought it was going to be tied in. It didn't come in the color you thought it was going to come in the color of. Just be grateful for the opportunities that are presented to you and take the chance and do it, because you never know what will happen if you decide to take that leap of faith. That's what I did in 2017, and I've not looked back. I decided to take a leap of faith too, and I apologize so that you can hear the children back there, right? I decided to take the leap of faith to start a business, and it's been blessing my family ever since. So, with that being said, and because the children are beginning to talk even louder, I'm going to say happy Thanksgiving. We love you. We'll be back with something fun and not so serious throughout the rest of the week. Have a good night.